How y'all doing? For this book review, I'm going to go over another Franco-Belgian comic, or bande dessinée, and that is Azimut. Originally done in 5 volumes back in France, you can now get in one single volume the complete set from Titan Comics. This is written by Wilfred Lapano and drawn by Jean-Baptiste Andrea. So let me just cut to the chase and tell you the story through this nice little sideshow I did.
The story is set in a fantastical world where death and time follow different rules. Many people are in fear of the mysterious Time Snatcher, who can age people years in their sleep. Mechanical birds called clepsydrues lay eggs that hatch freaks, who vary in appearance, and some possess various abilities. Royal explorer Count Quentin is on expedition to find new land for King Irene of Pondouche. Upon staking his claim, Quentin finds out he is back on Pondouche. He has spent 2 years only to circle back to where he started. Meeting the king on the beach, he is told that the north is missing, causing all navigation methods to be unreliable. One of Count Quentin's crew is an artist named Eugene, with a painting that he is obsessed over. The king finds Eugene on the beach with this painting, which looks exactly like his fiancée, Aka. When Eugene recovers, the king asks him why he has a painting of Aka. He tells the king that she is a con artist who seduces nobles out of krones, coins with no real value except as curiosities. The king holds Quentin, Eugene, Aka, and her faithful freaks imprisoned while he investigates these claims. At court, the judges say that she has not stolen the cronies, but stolen the North Pole. Not knowing what they are talking about, Aka, whose real name is Manning, makes a daring and risque escape with her freaks along with Eugene and Quentin. On a side story, Major Orestes travels with a rabbit named Paulo, who carries a container with an image of Manning. Both meet with Professor Aristide, who studies chronopteries, flying creatures with close ties to time. They learn from Paulo's image of Manny that she was his student, and through her studies with him, went off on a journey in search of the Bank of Time. What is Manning looking for? What is the price, and is she willing to pay it? Why is her mother willing to kill her for it? What happened to the North Pole, and how is it connected to Manning, who does not know where it is? What will the Time Snatcher do to her and those who are with her?
Of course, their adventures take them all over to different landscapes, deserts, lush jungles, frozen wastelands. There's even a castle in the sky devoid of all color, and you get to meet the ruler there. So they go through all that just so Manny can go to the Bank of Time and seek what she's after. And we get to introduce all sorts of these wonderful little creatures and all that. We don't necessarily get an explanation of it. The back of the book describes that this is a series for fans of Terry Gilliam and Lewis Carroll. Okay, I understand Lewis Carroll because more people are familiar with that through Alice in Wonderland. It's used commonly as far as the weirdness goes. More accurately, as far as telling a story through weird characters, they should have chose Frank L. Baum. I think for you, if you are an Alice in Wonderland fan, this is very much something you want to add to your library and for that weird fantasy and all that. Because with Lewis Carroll and Alice in Wonderland and Through a Looking Glass, she goes through adventure, but as far as I can recall, it's not like an overall quest. Where in the Oz books by Frank L. Baum, each story is their own little adventures. Again, I haven't read it, so you could but I definitely know Wizard of Oz is. We all know the movie, so we know, and we know in essence it's the first book, despite all the differences. But I digress on that. Terry Gilliam, also understandable. It would be Adventures of Baron Munchausen, another nonsense book, but that's based off of. But his level of weirdness, along with Time Bandits and maybe Brazil, and just the oddity in the setting, as well as the characters. So yes, this one, for those of you that like that level of weirdness in their fantasies, this is an excellent book to have in that. However, don't mistake that it's for little kids. There's a few instances of nudity, but it's nothing, no sex scenes or anything. It's just, as I said, when Manny escapes in a risque manner, we do see quite a bit of her and trying to make her escape, and a couple other things. So again, if you're a parent that likes to have their kids like to expose this type of fantasy, read it first. Let yourselves be the judge on that. Now, like my last review of Wicca, another bande dessinée that's been published in English by Titan Comics, this one right here is a wonderful complete story that, again, if you like Terry Gilliam and Lewis and Frank L. Baum and like that weirdness of fantasies and all that, this is something you got to have on here. And I think the Franco-Belgian comic format needs to be looked into by American comic books. I think they need to up their game. I've said this more or less in the last video. I think American comic books, you look on the shelves, you might be attracted by a cover, but you look at the artwork, it all feels half done at best compared to artists before and some of the best ones all around. In America, we have a tendency to look at American comics and manga. Very rarely do we go to Europe and see what they have to offer and how they go about doing it. And this is an example of what you can do. I mean, as I said, the artwork is continuously good throughout the whole thing, and it should not be ignored. I mean, I'm just showing some random pages here, you see from that, and I'm not even showing the whole thing. That's because bande dessinées don't have a strict deadline like the monthly deadlines we normally find in our major publishing companies here in the United States. I think if you're a comic book creator, particularly an artist, I think you need to go to bande dessinée route where you up your level of standards. Look to ones, we in America we had Bernie Wrights and we had all these other good artists at the time. Now I feel like it's all sort of simplistic and half done. Where you go, and manga is a step up because they not only want to tell a story that people want to read, they also have and this is not always the case. When it's good, it's really good. I love Berserk. I like Lone Wolf and Cub, and and what else? But most of Japanese is becoming a stagnant common denominator, and to the people's expectations. I think it's a very unhealthy way to sort of push creativity to make your style your own. Now, if you're not a good artist, and you could still look for a good artist to look up to that's better than you and push yourself higher than that, and you get your own distinct style even if you don't reach it. But hopefully it's a lot better than what they're coming out today in America. And bande dessinées is set because they're not set in a monthly period. It's done when it's done. You get a better result in both art and writing. And this is an example of this. Now, with that said, if I had a critique about this, it's a minor one. Manning and the confrontation of her mother, I feel like I could use a bit more details on why the mother is after her. I mean, I kind of get that part, because she doesn't want Manning to get what she's after. But it kind of makes you wonder, okay, how did this come to this part of the relationship where you're willing to kill her? How did you have a daughter in the first place? What's the story there? I mean, who was your husband or a lover, or who was that had you give birth to her? I understand that and there's a part where she gave her up to the freaks for her to raise, but, how did you come about having a kid in the first place if this is how you're going to act? Okay, what's the full story of that? But it doesn't tell. There is a conclusion between that. You're given a little bit of that. And while sometimes in these things you can fill in your own blank, I kind of feel there's a few potholes that needs to be filled in. I don't want to necessarily complete study, but something more smooth transition where it's like, okay, I can see where this is going. But, with that said, the ending, there's some people have happy endings, some have bittersweet endings, some people had sad endings. That's life for you. But hopefully, I won't tell which is which. But one of the reasons I'm making reviews like this, so you can see this, and if you see it on the shelf and you're curious but haven't bought it yet because you're not certain, hopefully I convinced you to try it out. So, Azimut by Wilfred Lopano and Jean-Baptiste Andrea. Franco-Belgian comics at their finest. Give it a shot. Thank you all for watching. Have a nice day.